Hello guys, I hope this angle is good because I don't feel like changing it right now. I've been like messing with this for like 10-15 minutes. Anyways, um, I want to go over some of the books I read this month and some reading goals that I have this year because I always liked to read when I was younger. I always liked to read when I was younger. And just throughout the years, you just, or at least for me, I just kind of lost the joy of reading. I feel like that was partly school, like having to be, or like forcing you to read certain books that you didn't really enjoy, and then having to do it for like schoolwork. And then I think it was partly my fault too, like just like not picking up a book because it's easier to just be on your phone. But trying to change that this year, and get a little bit more smart and just read some good stories. Honestly, like every time I go on TikTok and there's like a video talking about a book and they're just so excited, or sometimes on YouTube too. Honestly, like I like watching people like do reading vlogs and just like explain a story, go through their emotions, how they're feeling, and then even if it's a good book or a bad book, like they had fun doing it, and I'm just like, I think I I have fun reading regardless if it's good or bad. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at and why I decided to like start this uh not start this channel, but I want to do like, I'm not sure what I want to do, if it's like more vlog types or kind of just reviewing books, how they make me feel yet, but we're going to start with, I think, reviewing books for this video and then kind of just my thoughts and what goals I want. If you see me looking down, I'm looking at some notes just so I can stay on top of it. So let's get right into it. So, it's actually funny. This is, I guess, the first book I technically finished in 2025. I'm counting it. So it's Where the Red Ferns Grow. Technically, I I started this book last year, literally probably the beginning of last year, and I got to like a quarter, and probably December is when I started picking this book up again. I literally had it on my bookshelf, or I mean my like nightstand on my bedside all year last year. Just read like 50 pages. That's it. Until like December, and I remember I finished this the New Year's Day, not like when we were counting down, but like New Year's Day in the morning, and yeah, it made me cry. Not gonna lie, and I don't know why. Like I really didn't expect this book to make me cry. Like it's a, I feel like overall a simple story. It talks about a boy who gets these two hunting dogs for his, or no, he saves up to buy them because he really wants hunting dogs. And it just talks about his whole training process and how he really wants them to be the best training dogs, and that's kind of the whole book. I really, my favorite scene in this book is when they're like trapped in a snowstorm, and it kind of reminds me of like Gary Paulson. You guys, that is one book that they made us read, and I think elementary school, honestly, called The Hatchet. I feel like it was really popular. And that book I really liked, and ever since then I've really liked a lot of Gary Paulson books. They're just like basically survival stories, and I don't know why his style of writing and the stories he tells I really like. So that one scene in this book really reminded me of that, and I really liked it. And yeah, the ending, I mean, I feel like I'm not gonna spoil it, but you can kind of guess the ending. A boy, his two dogs. Dogs, movies, books. I feel like you kind of know where it's going. I didn't expect it to make me cry though. That's all I'm gonna say. But I feel like I'm a pretty emotional person, so I don't know if it was that or if the it was just like the whole story made me cry. But I really like the ending though. It had a really nice message. Um, but overall, it was a decent book with a decent story. I don't know if I want to give like ratings to these books. I feel kind of bad. I feel like they change over time, and if you reread it, maybe you'll feel differently. I guess I'll say it for now, but I feel like this would be like a 3-star book. Like, nothing wrong with it. It was like a decent story overall. Like, I don't think it made me, oh, it did make me cry, but it was overall just a simple story about like a boy and his dogs. Like, that's all I can say. But the reason I didn't give it lower is because it did like impact me emotionally, and I really liked that one scene. And all the events leading up to that were really good. Like, I feel like the last 100 pages were really good. But yeah, I really liked it. The next book I have though is The Book Thief. So, by Marcus Zusak. And funny story about this one is the exact same situation happened with this one as Where the Red Ferns Grow. So I started this book in 2024 and I only finished it this year, January. I read through like a little less than the halfway point. I kept it on the nightstand. Just couldn't be bothered to finish it. And it is a long book, but it should not have taken me a year to finish. Let's be honest. So this book also had something that I never read before, or an element, I should say, which is it had like a separate narrator apart from like the main character. And it was supposed to be death, and in the beginning it kind of caught me off guard because I never read like a story like that or a book that had that, but I kind of got used to it over halfway and it wasn't too bad. I still am not sure if it's my favorite, but it wasn't as bad as I thought in the beginning. I think it was just because I never read a book like that before, but it was alright. So this book follows Liesel, who is a little girl who is given up by her mother. I don't really remember why in the beginning. Again, I read it last year, the beginning part, so I'm sorry. But she's given up by her mother to her new parents who live in a small German town. And it just follows her trying to, get along with them and try to be good as she can. Go to school. She makes a new best friend called Rudy. Over the course of the book, we learn a lot of these new characters, their interactions with each other, how they learn and grow from one another. And one of my favorite relationships that develops in this book is for Liesel and her new dad. I just love their relationship. And also Rudy, who's her best friend, really grows a lot. Like, he's really annoying in the beginning of the book, I remember, and I really didn't like him, but he becomes a likable character towards the end, and yeah. But this book also takes place in 1939, which is the start of World War II. So it kind of follows, or you kind of see, at least in the beginning, the slow turning of the small Germany town. Slowly, get more fascist and just integrate more Nazi things into their life, and how that kind of builds over the course of the years. I mean it's kind of like historical fiction in that way, but I like it because it offers a new perspective that you kind of just forget, or it just, through the eyes of a child, it's particularly like interesting. And I also like Liesel's point of view because she is a child and you see her grow up through the course of the book, but you see how she's influenced by all the people around her, like her father, her mother, the people her mother works with, her best friend, the books she reads. And I don't know, I really like it. And this book did make me cry too, which I was not expecting. I actually cried twice. One part I was not really expecting. No, I wasn't expecting it at all, to be honest. Like, I don't know. I just didn't know that I would cry, and yeah. It was not at the part I thought, but anyway, it made me cry, and I really like this book. If I had to give it a rating, I would say 4 out of 5. It's just a really good book with a really good message, really good characters, really good writing. It's a bit long, but I think if you can get past the first 100 pages, you'll be good. And yeah, I would really recommend this book if you want to learn a little bit more about 1939 and kind of the learning, like how people went through that individually. Okay, for this next book, I'm gonna try and stick to my notes so I don't blabble on too much and just try and be more concise. But the next one is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. This is probably my favorite book that I've read this year so far. It's literally only been January, but it's probably my favorite. So I remember that this book was very popular way back when on TikTok, Book Talk, whatever. I did not go like a week without seeing one post about it and how devastated they were, how good it was. So, and I think I bought this book last year, if I remember right, and I only got to it this year, but I'm glad I picked it up. I'm glad I read it. I really liked it. I don't know what it was about it. I guess it was Madeline's writing style that I really liked, and like I could not put this book down. Like I had to keep reading. I remember the first thing I would do waking up, read it, and as I was, going to bed to sleep, I would read it. So I read this book fast. I think I read it in like 3 days, and I really didn't want to finish it, so I would try and like kind of space it out as much as I could, but I still really wanted to read it. So I held off as long as I could. The one thing I didn't like, but this is kind of just the nature of it, is it is a Greek story, so some of the names were hard to pronounce, and it was kind of hard to keep track of all of them because they were weird names, and then you had to remember a lot of people's names. So also I should tell you what it's about if you haven't heard of it. It's Song of Achilles, so it follows the Greek hero Achilles, who but it tells his story through one of his or I should say a lesser known character, which is Patroclus. You see? That's how I pronounce it in my head, Patroclus, which is his lover in the story of the Iliad or the Odyssey, I believe, or maybe both. I'm not that big or that knowledgeable on Greek stories, but it follows one of those, I think. And but it tells it through Patroclus's eyes, and kind of it's basically like a love story, to put it simply, or kind of a romance story, but it just has a lot of twists and turns, and I would describe it as like kind of like a quest or adventure story. But I love this book. I don't know what to tell you. I really like this book, and it just made my little gay heart so happy. I feel like I don't really read romance that much, and this was kind of one of the only romance books, like I would consider a romance book, that I've read, and I just really liked it. I don't know what to tell you, and I really don't want to tell you that much because I really think you should just need to pick it up and read it. And I hope you like it as much as I do, because yeah, did I say how many stars? I would give it 4 out of 5. Like, oh, also I remember on TikTok people were like devastated and like were crying. They were like, you need to. Surprisingly, this book didn't make me cry. I was expecting to cry with this book. Like the other ones, I really wasn't. This one I was expecting to cry and I didn't cry. So I don't know, but I still really liked it. So whether you cry or not, I feel like you're gonna enjoy it regardless. So 10 out of 10 would recommend. Okay, so the last book, at least for this reading blog that I read this January, or video, sorry, is gonna be The Poet Slave of Cuba. I'm sorry. So it's a biography of Juan Francisco Manzano by Margarita Engel. I believe that's how you pronounce it. And yeah, it basically follows kind of a retelling by Margarita of Juan Francisco's life as a slave in Cuba, through his poems that he wrote as a slave in Cuba. And I don't, it makes me really wonder, like reading this book and his poems and just the process and how much he had to hide his writings to, it makes me wonder like how these poems were able to be saved, honestly. And yeah, this book, it just made me so mad, sad, and really it made me, the question I took away from it was like, how, I know this is history, I know this has happened, but I don't know, seeing it firsthand retold, it's like, how can humans think of humans that way? How can they be that cruel and just believe it? It's just, I don't know. I would recommend it. I don't feel comfortable rating it. I just feel like it's an autobiography, and it tells like the story of this person who just went through like terrible, he was a slave. Like, I don't feel comfortable rating it, but I really learned a lot from it, and I would recommend anyone who's interested in learning a little bit more about slavery, and particularly Cuban. Like, I never really learned about that in school, or went out of my way to learn it, so I enjoyed it. And I believe I had this, my friend gave me this book. I think it was part of a library that was like giving out, sometimes they have old books and they're giving it out, so it was that one. And my friend gave me it to read, so I finally got to it. She gave it to me a long time ago, but finally got to it. And yes, if you read it, I really hate the mother in this book. It's so horrible, and it kind of makes me want to learn more about Juan and his poems, because he did eventually escape his slavery, or escape being a slave. But not a lot is known about his life afterwards. But I know he does have poems based on the ending of this book. He does have more poems, and I would be interested to know more about his life. So yeah, that's where I am in this book. Really good book if you want to learn more. And yeah, I also thought I would mention the book I'm currently reading right now. I'm not going to include it in this video, but because I don't think I'm going to finish it in January, and I kind of want to put this video out before January ends. But it's going to be Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. I'm not sure if this is a classic, but I've heard it a lot from other people. And I remember in school, this was one of the books that we had to choose from, like out of a selection in high school. I really wanted to read this one based on the little splurge on the back, but we ended up reading How to Kill a Mockingbird, and I really liked that book too, actually. But this book, I remember specifically Giovanni, like that name, and ever since then I've wanted to read it, so I'm finally reading it. And yeah, I'm barely like 20 pages or 40, so not too much, but I'm excited to finish it and see what I think about it. Yeah, it seems like it's gonna be another like gay story, but with more introspection. If that makes sense. Okay, to finish up this video, I wanted to just end it on some of the reading goals I have and why I want to like make these videos. Well, I've always wanted to make videos, right? But I feel like this would kind of help fulfill kill two birds with one stone. Like, this would like help me to have a reason to read more, and also I would make videos of it. So kind of worked out. I also thought it'd be fun to let you guys know that in 2024, I think I read a total of 7 books, which honestly is more than I thought. I thought I read a lot less than that, but I was looking at my bookshelf up here, and yeah, I think I read those 7 up there. Um, and I remember I read like 3 during a few months, and then the last 4 in a few months. So I had splurges of reading. But yeah, I was like, dang, like 7, like at least for me when I was in elementary and middle school, I loved to read. Specifically elementary school. I remember, I don't know if anyone else's elementary school had this, but they would give us little dog tags whenever we would like read a certain number of books or the type of book. I don't remember how it was, but I had a fat stack of dog tags for like finishing these books, and that would get me motivated. And I don't know, I just really liked reading during that time in elementary school, specifically like 4th and 5th grade, and a little bit into 6th, 7th. I think 8th and high school is kind of when I started to, or I just stopped reading, honestly. And yeah, I really, really miss it. Like reading these books throughout these last few weeks have really made me realize like why I like reading, which is just like the pure joy I get from, reading someone else's story or the words. Like, I don't know how to describe it. If you like reading, you understand. And I feel like if you're a person who has said they never liked reading or something, I feel like you could pick up, I would just say try again. Like, try and pick up a book that you would really like. Or if you just don't like to read books physically, I would say try audiobooks. I feel like people really enjoy those nowadays, and I feel like a lot of the books out there have audiobooks, or even like a Kindle or a e-reader. Sorry, not Kindle. Don't support Amazon, but there's a lot of e-readers that are not Kindle, so any e-reader. I was gifted a Kindle actually. But I really like it, but I don't support Amazon, so anyways, sorry, off topic. Try an e-reader, try an audiobook, and also if you don't want to commit to even buying a book, audiobook, whatever, Audible, just get a library card. Just get a library card, get a book, get an audiobook. It's like no cost, it's free. You're not gonna lose anything. I feel like we would all benefit more if we read a little bit more. Like, we just all need to be a little bit more disconnected from this. Is getting off topic. Anyways, let me get back to my notes, please. So yes, 2024, I read a lot less books than I thought, so I want to read more. I want to get off my phone more, doom scrolling, TikTok, YouTube. It's YouTube for me, honestly. Like, I really get sucked into YouTube a lot. And I really like YouTube, but, I just feel like reading is more productive, and it stimulates your brain in a different way that YouTube does, I want to read more. And you get to learn more and explore different viewpoints that you wouldn't really do anywhere else. And I really want to have fun reading again, honestly. Again, YouTube kind of helped me or guided me into reading more, because I honestly enjoyed reading content and reading creators. And I really like seeing, the enjoyment and fulfillment they got from reading books, and it just made me get motivated and excited to read again. So I'm hoping that continues throughout this year, and hopefully these videos help with that, kind of motivation and staying committed to the goal. I forgot if I mentioned it at the beginning now, but My goal is to read 24 books this year. I don't know if that seems like a lot or little to you guys, but to me, I feel like it's perfectly manageable because I saw it as reading at least 2 books a month, and so that would be 24. I'm already at least 5 books down, but who knows if I slow down. Either way, I feel like it's just an attainable goal. And I mean, the main goal of it is just to read more. So if I go past it, great. If I don't, then I still read 24 books and I'm happy with that. Also, I kind of got the silly idea of starting a book club. I actually mentioned it to one of my friends the other day. And I had thought about it for a while when I was starting to think about reading more and stuff. But I just thought, I don't know, people don't like reading as much as me, so, or people wouldn't be interested in joining. But to my surprise, she said yes. And I asked a couple other people I knew, and some of them said yes, they were interested. So hopefully we can get that moving, and if anything, it's just going to be a fun place where we can just get together, talk about books, and hang out, which honestly, it's a win for me. But yeah, guys, this is the end of the video. Thanks for watching if you did. I know I was super rambling on some parts. I stuttered a little bit. It's been a while since I filmed anything, so sorry about that, but I hope to get better with time. And yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next month, hopefully. And I'll let you know if I started that book club. Okay, bye.